So in today's video, I'm giving 7 self-esteem hacks for how to be more confident, because when we're more confident, we're happier. Now, if you're new here, my name is Michelle Ferris. I'm a psychotherapist, and I love helping people create relationships that work. So the first self-hack tip for how to be more confident is to think of a compliment you've received and really take a minute and let it in. Most of us get the same compliments over and over again because that's part of our nature. You might have heard that you're generous, you're kind, you're loving, you're patient. The ones that you hear more than once are what people love and trust about you. And I want you to use those statements to improve your confidence in the moment. Because part of why this works is because you're basically taking a minute to celebrate the uniqueness of who you are. Because nobody on the planet is like you. And I know people say that, but we really have to drink that in, because that's what's going to help you feel more confident out in the world, to really embrace your own uniqueness. Now, the next self-esteem hack for how to be more confident is to identify and change negative thoughts. Because have you ever heard, we are what we eat? Well, I think we are what we think. Our thoughts are very powerful, and most of us don't realize how negative our conversations can get because we're not paying attention to it. We're just living our lives. But here's a challenge for you. I want you to take the next hour and just notice your thoughts. And notice how many of them are negative versus how many of them are positive. Are you telling yourself nice things about yourself? Or are you telling yourself things like, oh, this day's gonna suck, or I'm not good at this, or I wish I could have been more like so-and-so? Because those thoughts impact how you feel about yourself, and I don't want that for you. And if you've ever struggled with negative self-talk, say yes in the comments, because I'm right there with you. If you can catch these thoughts, you're gonna be way ahead of the game. So another self-esteem hack for how to be more confident is to do what's called esteemable acts, which is basically doing behaviors that make you feel good about yourself, like helping a stranger, or taking time to let your loved one know how much they mean to you, or doing a good deed. Because our behaviors reflect our thoughts, reflect our moods. Because when we're proud of our behavior, we will naturally feel more confident. And that's what I want for you. So in that moment, I want you to do something positive for someone else, because inevitably that's going to come back to you in a good way and make you feel better about yourself. If you've ever done a good deed for someone and noticed how much that made you feel good about yourself, say ditto in the comments. I'm right there with you. I love doing good deeds as long as I have good boundaries around it. Now, the next self-esteem hack for how to be more confident is to forgive yourself. Because let's face it, we all make mistakes. And part of what gets in the way of us feeling confident is beating ourselves up over past mistakes. So what if it were totally okay for you to assume that you are completely fine, completely lovable, exactly as you are, mistakes and all? Just for today, I want you to try that. Because being confident is really about accepting who you are. And part of that is forgiving yourself for not doing what you wish you could have done differently. Because I've looked at past mistakes in my own life, and I've had to really work on forgiveness, because those mistakes have turned into really valuable lessons and has made me who I am today, and I will bet the same for you. So when you look at yourself and your past mistakes, I want you to forgive yourself and say, you know what, it's okay to move on. And if you need to make amends or take action, great. You can consider doing that if you need to. But for today, in the moment, I want you to just forgive yourself and let it be okay that you're imperfect. Now, the next self-esteem hack for how to be more confident is to tell a different story about yourself. Because in any situation, there's always 2 versions to the story. There's the positive version and there's the negative version. Sometimes in recovery, I know for me, I noticed that I was telling a lot of negative stories about what was done to me and how unhappy I was and all of this stuff that came up in my early recovery. But what I noticed was I felt really bad about myself because I kept telling the same negative story over and over again, until I realized I had the power to change that story. I could look at my childhood and say, you know what, yeah, it was rough, but there were some good things too. And I never would have gotten into recovery if those things hadn't happened. So I can really see the blessing in my childhood versus only focusing on the pain. But that's where you can do something different, is to take the stories you tell on a daily basis and just notice, are they positive, are they negative? And how can you start to shift those into being more accountable? I don't know about you, but it can be really tempting to use these stories to get sympathy and to connect with somebody. But sometimes when we stay stuck in those negative stories, it really impacts our ability to enjoy life and feel confident within ourselves. So my challenge to you is to tell a different story today and notice how you feel. Now, the next self-esteem hack for how to be more confident is use the saying from 12-step programs, "This too shall pass." Because let's face it, we have all gone through stuff, and if you're going through a difficult time, it's harder to feel more confident. But part of feeling more confident is trusting that everything is going to be okay, because we all go through difficult periods, but we need to have hope that they're going to end. For me, that gives me hope that, you know what, no matter what I'm going through, this too shall pass. And I want you to use that, because what that does is that's going to give you hope. And hope breeds confidence, because when we're hopeful, we naturally feel more confident because we know things are going to be okay. And when we're going through a rough patch, this too shall pass can really get us through. So the next self-esteem hack for how to be more confident is to create a mantra, a simple sentence that tells you that you are enough, that you are wonderful, that you are loved. And this is a statement where sometimes people like to say it about themselves, and especially when it's about confidence, I would prefer you doing that. But if that doesn't feel right, then you can say something like, "Everything is going to be okay," or "I am safe," or "I am being taken care of." Because self-soothing statements can also make us feel more confident, because it's a tool that helps us stay in the moment and cope. And part of confidence is learning how to cope with life's challenges. So create your mantra and use it throughout the day. In fact, I tell my clients to put it in their phone as a reminder to go off every day, because sometimes we just need that little reminder that we are okay and we are special. Now, the next step I want you to do is go watch my video on self-love affirmations, because that's going to help too. Thanks so much.